everybody, my name is Daniel Benson, and I'm here to talk about Boots Riley's 2018 film, Sorry to Bother You, and the different filmmaking techniques used by Boots Riley, the director, to convey certain messages throughout the film. Now, specifically, I want to talk about the element of mise en scène and how that is used to convey different messages in the movie, such as modern-day slavery, corporate oppression, the oppression and disadvantages of peoples of color, and the problems behind and involving capitalism in the United States. Now, I'm going to try really hard not to pinball here, but if you watch this movie, you're going to understand why it's going to be exceedingly difficult not to do so. So just to give you an idea of the film, here's a quick synopsis. Cassius Green, he lives in Oakland, California. It's an impoverished area. He lives with his girlfriend in Detroit. He gets a job at a telemarketing agency called Regal View Telemarketing. And I believe they sell encyclopedias. The film is basically about how he works his way up in the company and becomes what is called a power caller, who basically sells slave labor to companies. And these are the people who make the big bucks. Cassius makes it to the top as a power caller by doing two things. Sticking to the script, which is a huge thing in this movie. Stick to the script. Posted all over the office. And it's said multiple times. The second thing he does is uses what is referred to in the film as a white voice. So he sticks to the script and uses his white voice. The mise en scène of the office, it's basically a very dimly lit office. It's very dingy and run down. And this is kind of representative of the working conditions of the working class in the United States today. And of the working lower class, I should say. Now, he ensures STSS is posted all around the office and said so many times. Because I think this is largely representative of the fact that in order for people to make it up in today's society, especially peoples of color and other disadvantaged groups of people, people kind of have to stick to the script and act a certain way and speak a certain way using a white voice, and that's what that's representative of. And say the right things and do the right things and look the right way and play the part, basically. You know what I mean? Downstairs, where the regular telemarketers work selling encyclopedias, is very dingy and dimly lit, like I said, and has STSS all over. Upstairs, where the power callers work, it's beautiful, it's pristine, it's clean, it's modern, it's very, very nice. And I think that these kind of show the different levels of wealth and power and advantages and disadvantages in this country. They even have their own elevator up to the power caller suite, and it's this beautiful, ornate elevator. It has gold moldings and gold accents. It's beautiful. And the password to the top of it is ridiculous. It literally takes, I think, almost a minute in the movie for them to type in. They literally sit there like this, and I think this is largely representative of the long, difficult journey to the top, especially as a black man in the United States. When Cassius works his way up and he becomes a really good telemarketer, sticking to the script and using his white voice, he is told by his bosses that he's going to receive a promotion and that he's going to be working in the power caller suite. The mise en scène of this scene is very, very smart. When Cassius learns that he has this promotion, they're cheering, they're popping champagne, they're praising Cassius, they love Cassius. So when he's told of his promotion, it basically shows his face, and he's like, you can see he's a little bit conflicted, and he's almost questioning, what should I do this? Because they sell slave labor, so he's very conflicted. You know what I'm saying? And there's a conflict. Should I go against my beliefs to make this money? I have to pay my rent. I have to do all this, or should I stick to what I believe in? And stick it out, you know what I'm saying? And that's the challenge that a lot of people have in this country, especially peoples of color. You have to adapt to certain things in order to thrive and to make it in this country. Anyways, in the office, when Cassius learns of his promotion, there's a scene, it turns to Cassius, and then it turns back to his boss, explaining the promotion. And it's his high school football team behind the boss. All of a sudden, they appear in the office, cheering Cassius on. Yeah, you got the promotion, all this and that. So earlier in the film, Cassius is talking to Detroit, his girlfriend, about his high school football team and how he doesn't want to end up like them. And I think that the mise en scène of this scene is incredibly smart, because it kind of goes into the idea that Cassius is resorting back to his old ways. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's moving up, becoming a power caller, but he's kind of digressing. You know, moving back and turning his back on his actual beliefs, resorting back to his high school desires and dreams of being wealthy and making it to the top in this country. And I think that the football team cheering him on in the back was intentionally placed in this scene in order for us to kind of understand, okay, so Cassius is kind of conflicted. We know that Cassius doesn't want to be like his high school football team, and that's why they're behind his boss, cheering him on for something like this. As Cassius becomes more well off as a power caller, the first thing we see is his outfit. The way he dresses is completely different. He goes from dressing in like run-down, raggedy clothes, a shirt and slacks, yes, but run-down and old and dingy. You can tell. When he becomes a power caller, he has a beautiful, beautiful suit on, and then he sells $10 million worth of something to somebody and gets a huge commission from it, and then he makes a lot of money. So then you see him driving a Maserati from the old piece of crap that he used to drive. So things are changing, you know what I'm saying? The mise-en-scène revolving around Cassius's life and the scenes with Cassius, it's going from dingy, run-down, old, beat-up stuff to new, beautiful, pristine things that people of power are depicted to have and to use. So one very impressive scene shows the transformation of Cassius's living conditions as he works his way up in Regal View telemarketing. It literally shows Cassius's apartment transforming before our eyes. He comes back to his apartment with his girlfriend Detroit, and they're kissing. They're getting to it before bed, and you see them kissing, and different things are changing as they're kissing and as they're getting into bed and stuff like that. So you see different things split in half in his apartment. His old, crappy, boxy, big, blocky TV. You see that split in half, and it's replaced with a beautiful flat screen TV. You see art pop up on his walls, and you see the apartment expand, and then you see them wake up, and they're back to back. Detroit and Cassius. Now I should mention Detroit. I'll get back to Detroit, but I'm just going to touch on it really quick. Detroit is a radical, and she's very against what Cassius is doing. Cassius is selling slave labor, and he gets involved in a company called Worry Free. Worry Free is a company which uses slave labor. Cassius's girlfriend, Detroit, protests against this. And she's in actually a resistance group called Left Eye, which protests against modern-day slave labor, the company Worry Free. So anyways, his old stuff is shown splitting in half in this scene, and it's replaced with a new flat screen and other new things. When this scene is over, you see Cassius and Detroit wake up in a bigger bed next to each other with their backs facing each other. This is very important because it shows that Cassius's job and Detroit's beliefs, they're conflicting. You know what I'm saying? And they're having problems because of it. So you see them wake up back to back in an apartment. Now the first thing that I noticed about this next scene was the color. It's all white. The entire apartment is just drowned out in white. And that is the first thing that popped out in my head. I think the mise-en-scène of this scene really, really beautifully depicts society's association of the color white with power and with wealth and with money, you know what I'm saying, and dominance. And I think that this is kind of subtly depicted very well. So as I touched on before, one major element of mise-en-scène is costume. I touched on Cassius's costume in the film and how that kind of goes hand in hand with him working his way up in Regal View and becoming more prestigious as a power caller for Regal View telemarketing. So director Boots Riley uses Cassius's girlfriend Detroit to convey a lot of messages in this movie. As I've said, Detroit is Cassius's girlfriend. She has a lot of beliefs that are against those of the company Cassius is working for, Worry Free. So Detroit is an artist, and she expresses herself and makes her opinion heard with her art and with numerous earrings that she makes and wears throughout the film. Now, the first pair of earrings we see her wearing in the film say murder, murder, murder on one ear, like huge. And then on the other ear it says kill, kill, kill. And I think that this is placed in the movie to represent the murder and the death and the oppression and the suffering that peoples of color have experienced for years in this country and still experience to this day. The bloodshed in order for this capitalistic society to thrive and to exist. Later, we see her wearing a pair of earrings which say on one ear, bury the rag, and then on another ear, deep in your face. The line "bury the rag deep in your face" is from a song by Bob Dylan called "The Lonesome Death of Hattie Carroll." And this song describes the death of a black woman who was murdered by her rich white employer, representing not only the oppression, but in some cases, the death of peoples of color in order to keep the white elites elite. Another pair she wears say the words, "You're gonna have to fight," expressing peoples of color's need to fight in this country to not only make it to the top, but to survive. Now, on to Detroit's art. As I've said, she's an artist. She makes her earrings. But she's also working on a big art gallery in this movie. And her big exhibit she's working on is composed of all, as she describes, big Africa pieces. And she says she wanted to, quote, "talk about a life shaped by exploitation, about fighting for a say in our own lives." She continues to explain, quote, "how capitalism basically started by stealing labor from Africans." Now, the mise-en-scène used in scenes with Detroit, like the one in her gallery, is very powerful and basically puts the message of the entire film right in the faces of the viewers. So I think that Detroit is a very important character in this movie. Boots Riley sets up the scenes to allow viewers to explicitly understand the message he is attempting to convey. And I think he does a very good job at this, because the ones with Detroit are very in your face, and when she's explaining why she wanted to do a big Africa piece, it basically it feeds that message directly to the viewers. So yeah, we have mise-en-scène in the office, how downstairs it's very dimly lit, and run down, and I stick to the script all over, and people are telling you to use your white voice in order to get to the top, and that's how some people do. That's how Cassius did it. He used his white voice, and he stuck to the script to make it to the Power Caller Suite, which is beautiful, pristine working conditions, and their own elevator, beautiful elevator. Now, when Cassius gets to the top of the Power Caller Suite, he's greeted by another black man whose name is intentionally bleeped out. He wears like paisley suits, and he wears a bowler hat, and he wears an eye patch, and he speaks in a white voice. He's a very over the top character who basically his costume and his actions basically show how over the top he is with the whole stick to the script and use your white voice idea. You know what I'm saying? It kind of shows that he lives by that. And I think this is why his name is intentionally bleeped out, because he kind of turns his back and kind of ignores the oppression and the disadvantages of peoples of color in the United States, and he doesn't really fight it. He kind of just goes with it. He kind of adapts with it. So all in all, I think that the mise-en-scène of this film is really where this movie shines. I think there's a lot of aspects of the mise-en-scène of this film that are very, very in your face, like the earrings, murder, 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 and kill, 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 and bury the rag deep in your face. But I think there are also some things that are a little more low-key in the movie. That apartment scene where it was all white. You have to look for a little bit, and you have to open your mind to it, and you have to watch a little carefully and critically. Some people might think it's completely ridiculous and over the top, where it's like, okay, this is just stupid. But if you watch a little more critically, you'll notice that the things that are put into different scenes, the words that are posted, like stick to the script all over the office, the words on Detroit's ears, and her art, and the meaning behind it, I think that they come together perfectly. It's a little over the top, and by a little over the top, I mean completely and utterly over the top. Boots Riley wanted to grab your attention and for it to stick in your brain. His use of mise-en-scène and the different techniques incorporated just make this film work. It's really hard to articulate that both on paper and with words, and that's why I'm really, really strongly encouraging you all to watch this film. So watch this film and then go back and watch my video. And then you'll be like, okay, now it all makes sense, and this guy's kind of right. And Boots Riley's a genius. Thanks for watching. Yeah, all right.